So Kyren Lacy's attorney says that he looked at every piece of evidence, including surveillance video, body cam footage, and the investigative report by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. During that interview shared with us by OUTTA TV, the attorney says reports between the District Attorney's Office and State Police do not add up. During a recent interview on OUTTA TV, former LSU football star Kyren Lacy's attorney, Matt Orey, says data and surveillance video shows Lacy was more than 70 yards away from a collision on State Highway 20 in Lafourche Parish that killed 78-year-old Herman Hall in December of 2024.
At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact.
Following that wreck, Lacy was accused of being at fault for the crash and turned himself into state police in January on counts of negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. At the time of his arrest, Louisiana State Police stated that Lacy, who was driving a green Dodge Charger, illegally passed multiple vehicles, causing a vehicle traveling in the opposite direction to avoid Lacy by swerving and crashing head-on into the vehicle that Herman Hall was a passenger in. Orey says Lacy was too far away to have any effect on the crash.
Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall.
In a statement sent to WWL Friday night, Louisiana State Police said in response to the OUTTA TV interview in part, investigative findings revealed that Mr. Lacy's reckless driving while approaching oncoming traffic led to the events of the crash.
The very last line of the report from the District Attorney's Office says, the evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Kyren Lacy should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him.
Orey suggests a state trooper was trying to influence one witness on how to describe the crash. But during that exchange, the witness involved in the crash can be heard blaming another driver who is not Lacy before the state trooper redirects the conversation to Lacy's Charger.
That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what happened. That's how she called that record. She was running in the back of me.
So, but the Charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slow head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that in. That's very important.
Lacy, one of LSU's top wide receivers set to enter this year's NFL draft, took his own life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in April.
To this day, formal charges were never accepted by the District Attorney. This is over. Oh, there's no criminal proceeding. Done. This is about making a promise to a kid who begged you to help him.
And we are waiting for a response after reaching out to the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office about the investigation and that OUTTA TV interview. We also reached out to Matt Orey's office, and we are waiting for a response from him as well. Whitney?
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
All right, folks, we are back here on WLTH 1370M. That's 92.7 in the FM dial. 6:58 in the PM. 6:58 in the PM here on October the 10th, 2025. The future is here. The future is now. And unfortunately, a young man with a very bright future named Kyren Lacy is no longer here with us because of this sort of weird chain of events that happened in a case earlier this year. Late last year. Now, Kyren Lacy was a football player. He played for the LSU Tigers and was one of the best wide receivers in college football. So he was probably going to be drafted in this year's NFL draft if he was still with us. So after he have declared for the NFL draft, in December, there was a car crash in Lafourche Parish, Louisiana, that resulted in the death of a 78-year-old man named Herman Hall. The authorities have alleged that Lacy's driving, in which he was speeding, and he was, and illegally passing in a no-passing zone, which he was, He absolutely did that. Triggered a chain of events leading to the crash. Lacy was actually charged in January 2025 with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, reckless operation of a vehicle. Before the case could go to a grand jury, Lacy died in April of this year in an apparent suicide following a police pursuit in Texas. Now, because this young man is deceased, the criminal case against him cannot proceed in the usual fashion. So there's not going to be a trial. But the investigation is still ongoing. Now, what we've learned in the last week or so is that there was a video. There was a video that came out that showed, thanks to Lacy's lawyer, that showed that he was far behind the accident when the accident happened. His lawyer's name is Matthew Ory. He argues that Lacy had already returned to his proper lane and was a significant distance, over 70 yards, behind the crash when it occurred. And Ory has challenged aspects of the investigation. The timing and proximity of the crash to Lacy, which we, again, if anybody can go and see the video on Google, just Google the video of the crash, and you'll see Kyren Lacy wasn't anywhere near the crash while it was happening. There were contradictions and inconsistent statements of the witnesses. The passenger that was in Kyren Lacy's car was never interviewed, despite showing their presence. And there was possible undue influence in how statements were taken. In one body cam recording, which you just heard, Matthew Ory, the lawyer, suggested that a trooper actually instructed a witness to include slamming on the brakes in their statement, which you just heard. He also notes that the district attorney's internal report reportedly state that evidence did not support that Lacy should have known his actions caused the crime. So the Louisiana State Police released additional surveillance video which supports their claim that Lacy's was driving reckless. He was. And so they showed like he was driving not so great. But Lacy himself was not the cause of this wreck if you actually watch the crash footage, since he was behind the accident while it was happening. Now, if he had actually caused the crash, he would have been in front. And the people behind him would have been affected by his horrific driving. But he was actually far behind the accident while it was happening. And in this case, the police literally coached, literally instructed people on how to blame him for this crash. And so while this happened, when this happened, you had the media, without ever seeing the video of the crash, condemning this young man. You had everybody basically saying his life was over. He's going to be sent to Angola prison, which is, hell, maybe the worst prison here in America. It's in Louisiana, and good Lord. Like, Angola prison is notorious, isn't the beginning of the word. It's literally considered the worst prison you can go to in this country, maybe, with the conditions. And this kid was a college kid. He was a college kid. He was about to go to the NFL, make him some money. And yeah, again, he didn't make the best decisions. I'm not going to say he made the best decision to be weaving in and out of traffic and to be speeding all over the place. But from the footage that you can see of the crash while it's actually happening, he is not the one who caused the car crash. And the fact that the police had to coach people, literally coach people, coach witnesses, and ignored the witness that was in his car. Now, what is going to happen because of this? The Louisiana NAACP has called for the resignation of Colonel Robert Hodges, citing dissatisfaction with how Louisiana State Police handled this case and the communications of it. The Legislative Black Caucus in Louisiana has requested an independent review from the Attorney General and urged a legislative committee hearing with power to subpoena evidence and witnesses. The state attorney general, Liz Muriel, has stated that she is reviewing the case file and examining all the evidence. She stressed that the district attorney's office was prepared to present a case to a grand jury showing that Lacy's vehicle put events in motion, which, I mean, what do you mean? Even though it did not collide directly. Again, he was behind the wreck. Not in front of it, behind it, and far behind it. And so while I don't think he was innocent, you know, he didn't kill anybody. He did not kill anybody. And it's important to understand that there is a difference between saying, look, somebody did not make the greatest decision, and saying that they should spend the rest of their life in prison. This is not that type of case. Not for him, at least. And especially not someplace like Angola prison. Like I said, maybe the worst prison in the country in terms of its conditions. And so they came up with this idea of triggering events. Well, he didn't actually cause the crash. He triggered the events that led to the crash. They'll just use any language to justify what they were trying to do to this young man. You want to charge him? Give him a speeding ticket. Give him a ticket for reckless driving. He'd be one of 500 NFL players to get that same ticket that year. But to call this young man a murderer, and to have people thinking that he was a murderer all this time for almost the last year now, when there was a video out there that showed how far behind this crash he was, is unconscionable. It really is. It is unconscionable. But once again, it shows that in America, the rush to judgment, the rush to sort of condemn a young black man is America's favorite sport and has been for 400 years. This young man had a bright, bright future ahead of him in the NFL. He had a nice, fast car and was doing what people in nice, fast cars, young men in nice, fast cars do. There's no defending that. Like I said, give the man a ticket. But to blame him for a car accident that happened far in front of him, that is unconscionable. That is unconscionable. His lawyer should have never had to fight this long to get this evidence out there. If he had been able to do that, maybe Kyren would have thought he had a chance to win in court, and he'd still be here. Instead, this young man's family and friends And everybody who all of his fans have to just dream about what could have happened. If he had gotten the opportunity, the chance to play in the NFL, which is what he was supposed to be doing. This is why you never trust, folks. I'm sorry, especially if you're black. You cannot just trust the first thing the police come out and say. I'm sorry. You have to scrutinize what the police say. I've seen too many times in my lifetime thus far of the narratives that they push that often ended up being false or misleading in an attempt to create a kangaroo court and railroad a young black man. Rest in peace to Kyren Lacy. My condolences to his friends, his family, and to the person who died too in the crash. You know, his life mattered too. Just because I don't think Kyren Lacy killed him, due to the evidence that shows that he didn't, doesn't mean that something bad didn't happen. And I hope that that man's family can get whatever justice that they can get from the woman that actually caused the crash, who was driving the SUV. All right, folks, this has been a very heavy first hour and some change of the show. So how about we lighten things up? Let's lighten it up with the Happy Happies. We'll be right back here on WLTH 1370 AM with some Happy Happies and the musical spotlight. Please stay with us here on the Region's Choice and the People's Voice.